Hello, 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 and welcome to Real Conversations. I hope all is well. I pray all is well, and if it is not, trust and believe that it can and it will get better. I thought that sounds like my daughter. Think she's going to the gym. Anyway, I wanted to come in, and I probably will do a part two because I don't have time to go in depth. But I wanted to talk about the Keisha K. Orr and Gucci Mane interview on The Breakfast Club. And I have so many thoughts, right? And that's why I said it's just a little bit, it's a lot. It's very overwhelming. And I've read a lot of the comments and I saw a lot of the different videos and people just making their different takes and scenarios and comments. And a lot of it is spiritual, a lot of it is mental, a lot of it is trauma, a lot of it is abuse. So you can pull this apart from many different aspects. But I want to come from an aspect of a woman who has been down that road dealing with somebody who has mental issues. And this is not a slight to anybody who has mental issues. I have a brother who's diagnosed schizophrenic, but he's more on the autistic side. So he's nonverbal. Like he'll communicate, he'll mumble some words and this, that, and the other, but um, he needs someone there to assist him 24 hours, 7 days a week. Okay. And he's been that way since I have been a little girl. I don't talk much about him, but that's a really sensitive topic for me. But yes, I do have a brother who is clinically diagnosed mentally as diagnosed schizophrenic. I remember there was times that he used to run away. He was on medication, but the medication was making him just do bizarre things. So my mother took him off medication, and he's just never really been given the adequate treatment because back then there was no treatment really to help with that type of mental disorder. And he's in his, I believe he's like 60 now, 61, something like that, because I'm the youngest and he's older. But so I've been around people all my life who have mental health issues. So when I talk about these things, trust me when I say I know what I'm talking about. I don't come on my podcast and speak anything but the truth. And this is my truth, right? So as I was listening to Keisha K. Orr's, I don't like her tone, and I didn't like how she worded and said certain things. But I understand that she's Caribbean, and so it may come off a little brash and aggressive and harsh because that's just how most Caribbeans speak, right? But at the same time, you have to understand how difficult and how hard it is to be in a said situationship, marriage, relationship, whatever, with a person who has mental health issues, right? And the sad truth is a lot of it needs to, like it really needs to be studied, right? That a lot of these men, especially African American men, they have ADHD, they're bipolar, they're schizophrenic, um, they suffer badly with anxiety and depression, and they have all these trauma issues, and none of it is really ever addressed, and most of it stems from childhood, and so they grow up. And now this is why I say it's also spiritually connected. And they grow up and they become narcissists. You think about it, right? So when she says that she knows when he's having an episode, I knew, I knew when the narcissist that I was with, because you could tell, you know when something is off with them when they're not right, when they're going through these manic episodes, they go up and down their mood swings. It varies. It varies. And so a lot of the times people just disappear. And a lot of the times they're on some type of medication. And I don't mean doctor medication. They're on some type of drugs. They suffer from several addictions. Drugs, alcohol. They go, they do all kind of bizarre things. They say all kind of bizarre things. That's why when she said in the interview, oh, he would say some mean and hurtful things. Huh, have you ever been around a fucking narcissist? Okay, them motherfuckers is not for the weak. Okay, they would say some hurtful, mean, harsh things. I mean, and they would speak to you from the pits of wherever. It's almost like you're speaking to two people. It's like you don't even recognize that person. You don't recognize you're like, who is this person standing in front of me? And it's not them, it's mental. When she says that, it's like he said he hears voices. Yeah, that shit is a real thing. It's a real thing. That's why I always say, if you always hear me talk about it, you say they are fighting battles that most of us know nothing about. And it's so difficult and it's so hard to love or be around people like that. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve love, and I'm not saying that they're not capable, but because the way their brain is wired. And you have to be a strong individual. You understand what I'm saying? And you also have to have a strong support system. And if he didn't have that money, I don't think she would be around. I'm gonna be honest with you. If he didn't have the money and the status that he has, I don't think she would be with him. Because at this point, he has the money, he has the finances, he has the resources, he has the assistance. And this is her words. She said that she had to stage a kidnapping for him. He would be doing random things. If you look at the history of him, you could tell that he had some stuff going on. He kicked a woman out of a moving vehicle. He was on social media doing these rants. And that's what she said. She took his phone so he won't go into these manic rants and start saying things that he didn't mean or he don't remember. That's one of the biggest things they don't remember. They say things and they do things and they just don't remember. And they won't go get help. They won't go get therapy. And we, as the caregivers or the people who are in their lives, we're not equipped. We're not built. We don't have the tools, right? And this is why I said maybe it's a little bit different for her and maybe a little bit easier for her because she has the resources. She has the money. She does use the power of the attorney. You see what I'm saying? So they have like a very codependent relationship as you can, because she said her family members asked, like, this is a lifelong thing, right? And she was like, oh yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. Yeah, she's a businesswoman and she's about her money and her business. I give that to her. But do you know the level? Do you know the level of patience and tolerance? And she said that she's not afraid of him. And I get that part because I wasn't afraid of the narcissist that I was with. However, the bizarre things that they would do and say, didn't want to get out. They don't want to get out. They don't think anything is wrong with them. This is their normal. This is their normal. The dysfunction and the chaos is their normal. And she said that, he found a medication regimen that works for him. Cool. He lost weight. He's not the prettiest thing to look at. He's not easy on the eye. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. He's not easy on the eye. And, he probably has a lot of resentment issues because of all the things that he's experienced in his life. And then the fact that, if he went to jail for some time, he unalived, he unalived somebody that was sent to unalive him because the man is batshit crazy. And he got off at self-defense, but people don't want to be around him. People didn't want to work. This is all out there. Right? And you have to understand, Keisha Chaos family said to her, is this something that you want to? And she said, I love him, this and the other. And, like I said, it's probably all business. Granted, oh, trust me, but it's about the money and it's about the coins. Because if he didn't have the money and the coins, she would have been going a long time ago. Trust me and believe me when I say, right? But I can't tell you the amount of people that after I left the narcissist that I was with, I kid you not, first of all, they were relieved. They were happy. Um, you know, it was shocking to me to find out that a lot of people didn't want to be around me. A lot of people didn't really want to associate with me or talk to me because of him and the way he would act or react. I had somebody tell me, "Oh, I didn't want to come to your house because I didn't really, because his vibes is off." And they would tell me about his vibes and his energy and just all kind of things. And I was just like, "What?" I was like, "What the hell?" you know, not realizing that they can see these things or they pick up on these things and you're just in it. You're just in it, right? And you could see, she can hide these things because she has the means and the money and she has the aesthetics that she could, cover it up well, the clothes, the hair, the makeup, all of those things. She can hide that, the jewelry, the glitz and the glamour. She can hide it. But those of us who have been there, we can't hide it, but we can see it, which is a if you know, you know type of thing. Dealing with somebody who has mental disorders, especially in a romantic capacity, uh, it's one of the most difficult relationships you can ever experience ever in your life, to the point of exhaustion, to the point of depletion, to the point of nonstop stress. And not just you, but it's overwhelming for the children as well. And this is why I say, in their mind, they feel like this is their norm. Because again, I've had, not a lot, but I've had a couple of conversations with the narcissist that I was with post, after the shit storm, after the storm. And in his mind, he feels like he does nothing wrong. He really can't grasp or understand why my kids um, really don't want to talk to him, really don't want to have anything to do with them, to do with him. Um, and he can't understand why. He really get, and this is a sensitive topic again. And again, I don't really talk about it a lot because that's my kids, their personal feelings and things like that. And whenever they are ready to address it, I will let them address it. However, they still haven't really disclosed to me what or why. But the only thing that they have both said, and when I speak to my kids, I speak to them separately so that they can have their moment to express how they feel, right? And I give them that personal and private space and time. And they both said to me, it's a lot of stuff. And I'm like, oh. And so I try to like ask them and pinpoint what exactly. And then it's like, Ma, it's so much. So again, in the mind of a narcissist, people who are schizophrenic, people who are bipolar, people who suffer from these mental illnesses, a lot of times they are completely unaware. That's why when she says, oh, I know when he's having an episode. And so she tries to nip it before it gets explosive, because once it goes from, it's like a ticking time bomb. It's like a ticking time bomb. Okay? The narcissist that I was with, he was very snippy, snappy, very nasty, very brash, aggressive sometimes. Not physically, but just his whole body language, his energy, the way he spoke, the way he would stomp through the house, the way he would slam things, the way he would just do. It was just the bizarrest thing ever. Like the littlest thing, he would snap off on my kids. I remember my kids were so angry because my daughter wanted a pair of socks. Snapped off on her about a pair of socks. My daughter, he would, whenever he felt like it, he would give them a couple of dollars. My daughter must have gave me her money to go to the store, and I was out, so she was like, "Oh, Mom, can you pick up some stuff?" Went off, snapped off. Oh, that's not your. Why you give her your money? I'm their mother. I'm their mother. And I'm going to buy them the things that they need with the few dollars that you gave them. Oh, that's not snapped off. I mean, like, it just do bizarre things. Say the most craziest things. And he wonders why my kids don't want to be around him. He said he's a changed person, but he didn't go to therapy. He says he's a changed person, but my kids ain't trusting it. They like, mm-mm, which is sad. Which is sad. So people can talk about being she being a handler, and probably so, and rightfully so, because she says she's the power of attorney. So that means she's the one that's in control of everything. So that's why I said there's a lot of business going on, but at the same time, she's Jamaican. So if you know, you know. You understand what I'm saying? Dealing with a narcissistic person, a schizophrenic person, a person who has any type of, it is not for the weak. It is not for the faint of heart. I'm telling you, it's not an easy task. I don't wish that on nobody. And again, it's not to say that they don't need love. It's not to say that they don't need, but they have to want to get the help. They have to want to get the support. They have to be able to be a little vulnerable at times to allow people to assist them. Because the person that I was with, you couldn't tell. Therapy, I said it before. We went to one or two therapy sessions, and when I tell you it was a pure nightmare, I was like, never. I told I told the therapist, I said I will proceed with therapy sessions by myself. That's how bad it was. I couldn't sit to listen to the word salad, the ramblings, the all over the place, the accusations, the finger pointing, the blaming. There was no accountability. There was no no grace, no comprehension. It was you, this. Never about, and I'm a strong person. I'm a tough person. You hear me? It takes a lot. Let me just tell you, it takes a lot. But then it gets to a point now where I want to fight. Because as much as you could talk about the bad, they never want to address the good. They never want to address what you did for them, how much you did to them, how much you gave, how much you poured, how much you loved, how much you supported, how much you talk, how much patience, how much empathy, how much grace, how much. They never want to talk about none of that stuff. It's all mental. It's when I say it's all mental, it's all mental. And some forms of spiritual, because it's literally us. They wrestle with so many demons and demonic entities and spirits. Is crazy. That's why I said they are fighting battles that you know nothing about. Mental health is real. Now, some people are born, with mental health and mental disorders and delayed, and because they never really address it while they're young, it just grows. They grow with it, and it becomes full blown. So now, by the time that they're an adult, but they have a mind of a 5 year old, the mind of a 2 year old, the mind of a 4 year old. They can't. That's where the tantrums come in. That's where the manic episodes and the breakdowns and the screaming and the kicking and the throwing and the breaking things. Yeah, that's like if you ever see an autistic child, right? When because they can't communicate and they have their little fits and they have their little moments, what's the first thing that they do? They throw themselves on the floor. They start rolling around. They start crying. They start screaming. They start because they can't express themselves. They can't. It's just like something is like suffocating them to the point where they can't. So the only way that they know what to do is to act out, to get enraged, and that's why he says some horrible things, some hurtful things, some mean things, and most of the time he probably don't even remember he said those things. Probably don't even remember that he said what he said, or he did what he did, because the schizophrenia has them, because the bipolar, and and I've said this several times when I first really when I got to the point where I was just exhausted and tired, because I always knew that that my kid's father, he had something. It was something, some type of psychosis. Something was wrong with him because he was just not. It was not normal. His behaviors, his attitudes, just the way he carried on and did things was just not normal. And I always knew that something was wrong, right? And when I started to do my personal research and look up things, I was looking because, like I said, my brother is schizophrenic, right? I didn't understand that my mom was a narcissist at the time. I always knew that she had some little but I didn't understand that it was narcissism. And so as I was looking up, bipolar disorder, he had some of the traits of that, right? Then I was looking up like ADHD. He had some of the traits of that because there are certain words and stuff like that he just couldn't pronounce. And I get it. There's certain words that none of us can't pronounce, but it was just certain words, certain things he just didn't read to comprehend. And I was looking up like schizophrenia and the manic, just, he had traits of so many different types of mental disorders. And I was just like, again, I've even talked about this. His sister, it's the same thing, batshit crazy. His younger sister, batshit crazy. She lived with me, and she was nuts. She was nuts. I have a cousin, and I talked about her a little bit. She grew up with a lot of trauma in her life, and she's a grown adult now and batshit crazy. I'm gonna tell you what I know, right? And I'm not making fun of a mental disorder. Understand, I have a lot of love. I have so much compassion. I have so much empathy. But when I tell you the strength that it takes to be around and deal with a person with mental disorders is not the caregivers, the people who love them, the people who try to be there to support them and make sure that they're right, make sure that they're doing right, make sure that I have an next door neighbor recently had a breakdown. He's on medication. He's going to therapy, and I'm telling you, the man ain't looked right since. He ain't been right since, and he has some issues and stuff like that, family issues and all kind of. Listen, when I say I'm surrounded by, I'm surrounded, and understand something. Nobody is perfect. Nobody's life or family is perfect. Nobody comes out of this life unscathed. But when you're talking about a person who has mental issues, trust me when I say it's not for the fucking weak. And I, Keisha Kayor, give her all the again, if it wasn't for the money, I don't think she would be there. And if he wasn't who he was, I don't think she would be there. Because let me tell you, dealing with that shit would send anybody crazy, crazy. Because the shit that you have to deal with, the shit that you see, the shit that you have to put up with. Okay, and talk about shit. The narcissist will leave shit in the toilet, piles of toilet tissue piled up in the toilet. His father used to do the same shit. Just nasty. Just do stuff. Just do stuff just to do stuff. It was the I'm telling you the behaviors are bizarre, bizarre. You can't make this shit up. So on one way, again, I don't like how she termed and how she spoke and a lot of the things that she was saying, but I understand exactly what she's saying. If that makes sense to you, I understand exactly what she's going through. I understand exactly what she's dealing with. But again, she has the means, she has the resources, and she has the support. But when you don't have the means, you don't have the resources, and you don't have the support, the weight of the world is on your shoulders because you're dealing with somebody who can become unhinged at any given moment. At any given moment. And so I say all of that to say is people can talk, people can judge, people can form their own opinions. And I agree and disagree with a lot of, different things that people were saying. But as a woman who has been in several types of dynamics with people with mental disorders, I'm telling you, it's depleting. It's exhausting. I hope and I pray that, he stays okay. I hope and I pray that, they could figure it out and work it out. And if he has a book, I hope and pray that somebody, will benefit from reading his book and will go out and maybe get the help that they need. But we women, we cannot be rehabilitation centers for men who we just are not equipped to deal with and handle. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. I tried my best. I did what I could do. I was in that shitstorm for over 20 plus years. And when I say I was in it, I was in it. In it. Okay. And I couldn't do it no more. So I had to let it go. I had to let him go and send him off with love and light and wish him well and wish him all the best. And I still wish him all the best to this day. I wish him all the best. I wish him happiness. I hope that he can find somebody who got the patience and the energy to deal with him. Because when they had those episodes, and let me just say this before I go, and there was many times, like I literally sat, and when he was going through one of his episodes, his mother had her pastor call. That man, when I tell you that man sat on the edge of the bed, he cried to the point where me and my kids was like, do we have to call 911, do a wellness check or something? That man cried, 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 boo hoo, boo hoo, boo. Like it was crazy. Hung up the phone. He wiped his eyes, wiped his tears, went, rolled up a blunt, and was literally like shaking. I said, what the fuck? Like it was nothing. So when I tell you I know, when I tell you I seen it with my own two eyes, once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's, there's certain things that you just can't fucking make up. Okay? If you decide to stay, just be prepared and know that that's a lifelong commitment that you are making, a lifelong commitment to sacrifice, to care for somebody else. Now, is it worth it? That's up to you. If you got the means and the support, you got family, and you got people around you, a support team that's going to help you, sure. But if you're trying to do that shit by yourself, that's an early and slow death. You're slowly and slowly but surely killing yourself because that's what it feels like. A slow death, a slow, painful death. So you pick and choose wisely. Wish you nothing but love and light. We are not rehabilitation centers for people who are broken and have mental health issues, deep rooted mental health issues. Stay blessed. So I just wanted to come back and address this part also regarding the whole Keisha Kaur and Gucci Mane situation. And I'm going to add this part into it too because it's a real thing, right? If you look at some of the pictures, most of the time that you see them together, she's usually walking ahead of him. She's usually not next to him, not like ahead of him. Like she's the leader and like he's the kid and she got to follow him behind. And I'm not saying that she's a narcissist, but she may have some narcissistic tendencies because again, listen to the way she talks. I'm stronger. I'm this, like I'm like she's dominating over him, almost like she's in control. She wants to control. She's not the wife, but she's more so the the um the enforcer. Very narcissistic. And again, when you are aware and when you know and you understand, I'm one of those people, right? And I've said this so many times that when I listen to people, I listen to what's not being said. I don't listen to what's being said. I do listen to what's being said, but I'm more so intrigued or I hone in on what's not being said and body language and I can read somebody's body language and facial expressions. I can read their eyes. And that brings me to my next point. Besides her walking ahead of him, every time you see him, he has on dark shades. Dark shades. You can never see his eyes. You can never really see his face. You never really can see his emotions. And a lot of narcissists will wear shades. They will hide their face. They hide their eyes. And not even just narcissists, but a lot of people who, um, because here's why, right? I'm going to explain why. Because the eyes are the mirror to the soul. And a lot of the times, if you have ever been around somebody who has like a blank stare, or you look into their eyes and like it's like a piercing type of look, or they're looking off, or they're looking, like it's like they're looking into the distance, like there's no connection. 9 times out of 10, they have other stuff going on. So they don't like to see, they will wear their shades in the house, outside the house, in the club, every time you see them, they have on shades. They literally hide their face. And that's the reason they don't want people to see what's really going on. They don't want people to know what's really going on. And so that was really, that stood out to me watching him on this, um, what? Go do what you gotta do. Come on. I'm done. I thought you. What you doing? I used the bathroom. That fast? Yes. That's history. I didn't have to do number two. Okay, give me 5 minutes. Close my door. This girl, whenever she goes to the bathroom, she be in there for 50 hours. She gotta. That's history. Anyway, that's because she wants something. Anytime she wants me to change my clothes so we can go out so she can spend my money. But no, she got glass in her finger and she can't get it out. And I can't find it, so I'm gonna have to take her to the urgent care so they could do like a small incision or some shit. I don't fucking know. I try to flush it out, but it's always something wild. So that's the one that's gonna make me go to jail. Anyway, so what as I was watching these videos, pictures and just all these, I tell you, just TikTok is it's just all over everywhere, and I keep watching little snippets of the. It's just the fact that he's just so disconnected, and he has the shades on, and he has like you really can't read, you can't read him, and that's why. Most people who wear shades and I love shades. I'm a shade girl. Trust me. I have me some Ray-Bans and I will rock them shades, but I'm blind. I can't see. So I need my glasses, okay? I need my glasses. And so they hide. They hide behind the glasses. They hide behind the shades because they really don't want people to see what's going on. And that brings me to the last part of this message. Now, I don't really listen to his music. It's very demonic. Something is off. And the couple of videos that I've seen of him I think he performed on the BET Awards. I didn't get the performance. Trust me, that's not my genre of music. And I love music, right? It was and sometimes I hear the name, but it's just like, you hear certain songs or you hear certain features and it's like, Playboy Cardi, right? So apparently they're calling him a vampire, rightfully so. That nigga spirit is dark, okay? When I tell you I could feel looking, I'm like, that man's spirit is so dark and so demonic and so heavy that you literally can see it. You can feel it. And the girl that he's dealing with now, Giovanna, oh my God. Oh my God. My heart breaks for her because you clearly can see that since being with that man, they were showing before and after pictures and this and videos, and I'm just like going down the rabbit hole, and I'm just like, oh my God, somebody rescue her. Like, where's her friends? Where's her family? Where's her peoples? Like, somebody go get that girl, because it don't look like she gonna last too long. She is withering away, and I can't say this and stress this enough. The downfall of every woman is always a fucking man. When I tell you, it's always a fucking man. It's crazy. I was like, this was a beautiful young lady. Now I don't care about what her lifestyle was. From what I understand, she was a lesbian, or she was she said, and then she ended up with this. But he's probably feeding into her and keeping her drugged up. And this is why he's able to do the things that he wants. And from what I understand, he has a very abusive pattern in history. And then I had to think back, and I'm like, wait a minute. I had to ask my daughter. I said, but isn't that the one that Iggy Azalea had a kid with? And I remember she was going through this whole big thing with him, and I think she did like an order of protection against him. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't quote me on that because I don't keep up with all of that stuff. But I'm like, I don't know if she had an order of protection against him, but I know there was some issues with the baby or the child that they have together and protected. I don't know. It was a lot. And I believe that she stated that he was abusive. That man got a heavy demonic. There's some people that just have a heavy, heavy demonic spirit on them and over them and in them. And he's one of those people. And you can clearly see it because he's draining the shit out of her. He's sucking the life out of her. And he's keeping her literally incapacitated. I hope and I pray that this girl, that, they do an intervention and they get this girl because it's not looking good. She's a young, pretty, woman. She had a lot going for herself, and shit don't look good. It don't look good. Yeah. Stay away from, please, please. I try to talk to my daughters. I try to talk to, females, and I let them know, like, don't 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 get caught up, because every woman, they can be doing okay in their life, have a good job. They may not have it all, may not be perfect, right? It may not be the best of the best, but she doing all right for herself. And the minute she gets with the fucking, I'm telling you, a man can set your life back and fuck you up. Okay, I'm telling you what the fuck I know. I was with a narcissist for over 20 years, and trust me, every time I would make a step forward, I would take 10 steps back. I couldn't get shit right, and nothing was going well for me in my fucking life. You hear me? Nothing. My money wasn't right. My mental wasn't right. My living arrangements wasn't right. Nothing in my life was it was fucking chaos and was hell. Because I was always going through something. That man destroyed every car I had. I couldn't pay the bills. My credit got fucked up. You name it. He wasn't helping me pay the bills. He wasn't doing nothing. I'm telling you, when I say suck me dry, suck me dry. Okay, and left me on the fucking hill to die. Okay, I fucking been there. I'll tell you that shit. And that's why I say I'll never ever again. Listen. Never. I will go pack my hours, go live in somebody. I will go sleep on my mother's fucking floor. Okay, before I ever allow that shit to happen again. And I'm a big grown 48, going to be 49-year-old woman. I would sleep on my mother's fucking floor. You hear me? Before I ever allow my life to go downhill like that ever again. The fuck? And ever since I left him, everything been up since then. Everything was up since then. So when I speak, I'm telling you what the fuck I know. Because I've been there. Ain't no fucking way. Be careful with these type of fucking men. That's vampires and sucking the life out of you. Wish you nothing but love and light. Stay blessed.